So let's talk about another name, a name that's that is not probably, is definitely cheaper, probably under $10 million. If I had to guess, maybe under $5 million if you go out and get him. Was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday, a name that immediately sparked some interest when it comes to Pittsburgh Steelers fans and a potential wide receiver 2, 3/4, maybe, depending on where the Steelers wide receiver depth chart shakes out by the start and the end of the season. Zay Jones, guy who spent the last couple of years in Jacksonville, who was dealing with injuries last year, only played 9 games. The year before that, he had his best season in the NFL, catching 82 passes for 823 yards and 5 touchdowns. Not a bad year for a guy who I believe is a former second-round draft pick by the Buffalo Bills. You hear the name Zay Jones, an option for the Steelers and a valuable one if you believe he is?
Yeah, I don't hate this at all. I think the injury stuff is concerning just because I think he had like 3 different knee injuries or something last year. Like that's a little concerning, especially for a guy who just turned 29. But I think, you bring this guy in on a 1-year deal, less than $10 million, and I think you feel pretty good about that. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, yeah, we've been talking about superstar receivers, all week and all offseason, it feels like. I think the Steelers can get away with not a superstar, or not even really a star. Just you need a veteran, a solid veteran, a reliable veteran, someone who can make some plays. Like you need a healthy medium between Allen Robinson and Brandon Ayuk. And I think Zay Jones is pretty close to that. So I'm pretty interested in this. I think you don't necessarily need a star, and I think Zay Jones could be extremely solid for you if you give him a chance and you put him in the right system. And just the price tag, I think, really appeals to me. That along with, the production isn't awful. Like this is like if the Steelers have a third, let's call him a third receiver for right now. Let's assume Roman Wilson is awesome and has a great year. But if you have a guy who catches 600 yards, a handful of touchdowns, like 3 or 4, like I feel like that's a perfect spot for you to be. Well, in that situation, you're assuming George Pickens turns into a number 1, and like I said, Roman Wilson has a great year. But for a third wide receiver, like I will take that every day.
Yeah, I agree. I think Zay Jones comes in here as a number 3 and a good number 3. I think he's a better Allen Robinson that you could utilize in the slot and outside, depending on where you want to put Roman Wilson. I think best case scenario for the Steelers, you get a guy who could lower himself into a wide receiver 4 role while Calvin Austin expands into a wide receiver 3 role, and that works out well for the Steelers. I think that if you're looking at free agent options, him and maybe a couple other names, but he really stands out above most of them. Like people brought up Valdez Scantling yesterday in the live stream. They talked about DJ Chark, excuse me. I can never say that last name without saying Chalk. DJ Chark. Both of those are good options, I think, but I think they're both in the same category as Zay Jones, where you bring him in here, he's a wide receiver 3, and you kind of see what he does. And I think Zay Jones has had some success, and he's been reliable. Like, he's a guy that's going to catch like a couple of touchdowns. He's had some weird years and spent some time in Vegas with some rough quarterback situations. But once he arrived in Jacksonville, I felt like he was okay. He's going to be 29 years old, or he just turned 29 years old, so he'll be 29 during the season. Guys, this is a public service announcement, and it is urgent. You think that you have mastered the look in sweatpants and joggers? Well, guess what, my friend? You have not. You are one step away from wearing pajamas in public, and your significant other is starting to think that you look like a slob. It's time to take your sexy ass and put it in some jeans. If you take anything away from today's show, it's that the perfect jean isn't just another pair of stiff, uncomfortable, nut-crushing pants. They have cracked the code on solving your denim difficulties, and it is time to rejoice. Check them out. Always looking good. The Perfect Jean makes great looking, perfect fitting jeans that are as comfortable as sweatpants and more stretchy than a kangaroo's pouch. It's made from a special denim fabric that's super soft, just like sweatpants, just like joggers, but it doesn't make you look like a slob. And the best part, they make 6 fits from skinny to thick. Waist sizes from 26 to 50 and lengths from 26 to 38. So whether you are a thick guy or a short king, or guess what, anything in between, they perfectly fit your body and accentuate your assets. Pun intended. Trust us when we say that these are truly fucking perfect jeans. Once you try them on, You'll never go back. Once again, boom. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectgene.nyc, or just Google The Perfect Gene and use our code AllSteelers15 for 15% off. Look it. I have been looking for a while. I have been talking to my fiance daily. I need to find a look. I've tried them all. I tried khakis, I tried joggers, I tried sweatpants, I tried shorts. Nothing fits me like the perfect jeans fit me. The perfect jean doesn't just stop there, though. They've revolutionized t-shirts as well. The perfect tee has just enough stretch to hide the beer belly while accentuating your arms and chest for that flawless look. It's soft like butter without shrinking in the wash like all your other t-shirts. It's just, no, well, perfect. The perfect jean always has free shipping, always has free exchanges, and always has free returns. So you can have peace of mind knowing that your order is completely risk-free. It's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use our code AllSteelers15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code AllSteelers15. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please, please, please give us some support and tell them that we sent you. Fuck your khakis and get the perfect jean. I mean, I think that you could get them on a 1, maybe a 2-year deal and be totally fine with it. And then he's a better Van Jefferson. He's a better Quez Watkins. He's like your option that, like, okay, you have your bottom of the barrel guys. This is a real guy who can make an impact on your team. I'm not upset about that move. You think it could happen?
I think it could happen. But again, I don't think it's like one of those. I don't know. This isn't their first option,
Yeah.
This isn't their first choice. So they are going to, I think, exhaust all of the trade opportunities, all of the other free agent signings. They're going to look literally everywhere else before they say, okay, let's go get Zay Jones,
Yeah.
And maybe that comes back to bite him. Maybe some team picks up Zay Jones really early, but I don't really imagine that he's going to be the hottest name on the receiver market going forward.
No, I think that teams have their wide receivers filled, and at this point, they're just, coasting, and the Steelers are really one of the last teams that are looking for wide receiver help, so I could see him sitting out there for a little while, and then, again, once training camp starts, even if you brought him in, and then you still acquire a wide receiver through a trade, like, okay, like, that stinks. Van Jefferson's on his way out. Rats. Quez Watkins doesn't make the roster. Man, that's a bummer. I think that you just load yourself up with wide receiver options. It's not a bad thing. I think it is a possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I agree. I think closer to training camp is where we're talking there.